I don't feel great about our leaders. I'm not going to lie. I'm disappointed with some aspects of the Trump presidency, for sure. I'm not going to lie. It's grifty. You know, the Trump family is grifty. There's been like story after story about all the money that his sons are making off of the government, these government contracts they're getting, all that. I can't stand that stuff. I didn't like it when Hunter Biden was doing it, and I don't like it when the Trumps are doing it.
Don't fall for sad Megyn. There was never even a wild accusation about Hunter Biden that comes close to approximating what Trump and his family are doing. But it is an interesting political moment where the MAGA base just cannot launder any more of Trump's brazen corruption. They appear to want to align themselves with voters in the center and on the left who have a big problem with the Trump family's egregious corruption and grift, all at the expense of competent leadership and U.S. national security. Again, for Megyn Kelly's lame attempt at any comparison, as the Free Press puts it, quote, for all the condemnation of the so-called Biden crime family by Republicans, it pales in comparison to what's happening in this presidency. There is no modern parallel for the scale and shamelessness with which Trump has enriched himself while in power. We're back with Charlie and Eddie. Charlie, Trump was largely a failure in business. He was rich, yes, but he inherited it from that great reporting. I think he's suing the Times reporters over about the size of his inheritance and how much he lost because he wasn't a particularly great business person. But the richest he's ever been, the most money he's ever made, are the 15 months he's been back in office as America's president. He's made $2 billion.
Yeah, if only Megyn Kelly had been warned about all of this. And, you know, earlier we were discussing the U.S. Supreme Court decision immunizing him. I mean, Donald Trump is basically acting as someone who will never face accountability. But, you know, when Eddie was talking about, you know, in the last segment, was talking about, you know, the attack on truth, I was reminded of Gary Kasparov's quote, you know, the point of modern propaganda is not only to misinform or push an agenda, it is to exhaust our critical thinking, to annihilate truth. What Trump is also doing is annihilating a sense of ethical norms, the sense that everybody does it, that the grift is so outrageous, it is so in public. And basically he's shrugging his shoulders when he said, you know, I found out that nobody actually cared about it. This is what he is doing. He is not only feeding the distrust of all institutions, feeding the distrust of all information, but feeding this sense of distrust that there are any ethical standards, any morality that we ought to hold the president to. And so the grift is out there. It is who he is. I agree with you that it is breaking through. This is one of those moments where the voters have to ask themselves, is he on your side? Is he looking out for you, or is he looking out for himself? And every single day, we are seeing exactly what Donald Trump is most concerned about, which is self-dealing.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie, I wondered, I spent an inordinate amount of time wondering why the corruption of the first term didn't bother people so much. And I'm not sure I've come much closer to figuring it out. But the truth is, it is, one, registering, two, coinciding with a period of near historic economic despair, anxiety, and bad feelings about people's personal economies and the cost of everyday items. And Trump's indifference is sort of the third piece of that three-ring circus. How do you see this playing out in our politics?
Well, you know, I don't quite know how it's going to play out in our politics. We've been talking about for a while now, Nicole, the various components of Donald Trump's coalition. We talked about the Bannon side and the Musk side and how the populist wing would call into question the billionaire class, the oligarchs. And it seems to me that populist wing is rearing its head. I mean, I don't know, you know, I won't use the word grifty to describe what Donald Trump is doing. I mean, it's outright theft in so many ways. But what we're seeing are the kind of fraying edges of that coalition. Now, the question will become, how does that manifest itself politically? There's a lot of ways in which our political identities are baked in to how we understand ourselves existentially. So it doesn't mean that they're going to critique Donald Trump's grift and suddenly they're going to vote for Democrats. They might just simply opt out of the process. And so I don't know what to translate as politically, but I do know this, that the populist wing of Trump's coalition is on the way to being in full revolt. given what they're seeing and
Yeah.
witnessing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the X factor, because the members of that wing are largely up for grabs. They were the people that were sort of that stripe are also against the forever wars, and they have been betrayed over and over, made fools of. So it's a real test of what they do in the midterms and the next presidential.